Have you ever met someone who earns more than you but is always broke? Always tight on money? Always one emergency away from collapse? And at the same time, you know someone who earns much less and somehow manages to save, invest, and live without that constant weight in their chest. That isn't luck. It isn't magical discipline. It's something much more specific. And once you understand what it is, you'll start looking at your salary in a completely different way. There's a financial trap that specifically affects people who earn a little more than what's needed to survive. And it's silent, almost invisible, because it looks exactly like the opposite of a problem. It looks like an achievement. I'm going to show you exactly how earning more can actually make you poorer, and what you need to understand right now to avoid falling into that trap. Think about a simple scenario. Two people. One earns $3,000 a month. The other earns $5,000. Who do you think will be in a better financial position 10 years from now? Most people would answer, the one earning $5,000, of course. It's an automatic response. And that automatic response is exactly the problem. Because here's what actually happens in real life. The person earning $3,000 a month knows they need to be careful. Money is tight, and they know it. So they track every dollar. They make deliberate choices. They say no often, not because they are naturally disciplined, but because their financial reality forces them to be. Over time, they develop a muscle that most people never train, the muscle of living on less than they earn. And that muscle quietly is the most valuable asset they have. Now think about the person earning $5,000. Suddenly, money doesn't feel tight anymore. They pay the rent and still have some left over. They go to the grocery store and don't count every item. They see a deal on a website and think, I can afford that. And technically, they can. But something subtle and devastating starts to happen. Their lifestyle expands to fill the available income. This has a name. Economists call it lifestyle inflation, and it's one of the most powerful and least discussed forces in personal finance. When income rises, expenses rise with it, almost automatically, almost without the person realizing it. The slightly bigger apartment, the slightly newer car, eating out more often, a more expensive gym, one streaming subscription turning into 3, an upgraded phone plan, better clothes because now you can afford them. Each of these decisions seems reasonable in the moment, and individually, they are reasonable. The problem is that they add up, they stack on top of each other, and suddenly the person earning $5,000 a month has fixed expenses of $4,800. They are saving $200 a month. Meanwhile, the person earning $3,000 with habits built out of necessity manages to save $500. Do the math. After 1 year, who has more money in the bank? Who has greater emergency capacity, greater investment potential, greater real freedom? It's not the one who earns more. It's the one who keeps more of what they earn. And here's the truth most people never face directly. Income is not wealth. Wealth is what remains after you pay for everything. It's the difference between what comes in and what goes out. And that difference, that margin, is the only thing that determines whether you're building something real or just simulating success. But the trap doesn't stop at lifestyle inflation. It has a second level that's much more dangerous, and almost nobody talks about it. When you start earning more, people around you notice, your friends notice, your family notices, and a silent social pressure begins to appear, sometimes not even consciously, for you to match a certain image, the image of someone who earns more. You got promoted? You should celebrate with a special dinner. You have a better position now? Maybe it's time for a car that matches it. You're making good money? Why are you still living in such a simple apartment? This pressure doesn't come from bad intentions. It comes from culture, from environment, from an entire system that equates consumption with success. And when you earn $5,000 a month, you have enough income to give in to that pressure. You have enough income to look successful without actually building wealth. The person earning $3,000 doesn't have that option, and paradoxically, that limitation protects them. You might be thinking right now, But if I earn more and simply keep the same expenses, I'll get far ahead. And you're right. Completely right. But here's the question nobody asks. How many people actually do that? How many people get a raise and change absolutely nothing about their lifestyle? Research is clear. Studies in financial behavior consistently show that when income rises, spending rises proportionally, and in many cases, even faster. The gap between what comes in and what stays does not grow with salary. In most cases, it shrinks. There is even a documented phenomenon called the high-income trap. Professionals earning 8, 10, 15,000 a month, living paycheck to paycheck with no savings, carrying credit card debt, and more vulnerable to job loss than someone earning half as much who saves a third of their income. Why? Because when you have more, you spend more. And when you spend more, you need more to survive. And when you need more to survive, you never have enough to be free. It's a race where the finish line moves at the same speed you run. You run faster, but the distance never changes. Now think about the impact of this over time, because this is where things become truly serious. The person who saves $500 a month and invests consistently in a diversified portfolio for 20 years, with an average historical return of 8% per year, ends up accumulating around $290,000, almost $300,000, starting from zero, earning $3,000 a month. The person earning $5,000, spending almost everything, and saving $200 a month, they end the same period with a little over $116,000, less than half. Same time period, same market, same rules, completely different result. Not because of salary, because of margin. And here is the detail that changes everything, the one most people completely ignore. It's not about how much you earn. It's about the difference between what you earn and what you spend. That number, that margin, is the only thing that determines whether you're building wealth or just appearing to have it. A dollar saved is more valuable than a dollar earned, because a saved dollar begins working for you. And when it works for you, it generates more dollars, which generate more dollars, in a process that over time transforms a small, consistent margin into something that feels impossible when you first begin. But high income without margin? That's noise. Movement without direction. A treadmill where you run faster, but never go anywhere. So what do you actually do about this? The first step is recognizing that the problem is not your income. The problem is what you automatically assume when it increases. When your salary rises, the natural tendency is expansion. The apartment, the car, the vacations, the nights out. And the question almost nobody asks before expanding is this: is this bringing me closer to where I want to be, or just making it look like I already arrived? The second step is understanding that controlling your lifestyle doesn't mean living poorly. It means living intentionally. There's a massive difference between cutting expenses out of desperation and consciously choosing not to expand, because you understand that every dollar you don't spend today can return as $10 in the future. The person earning $5,000 and saving $1,200 a month isn't suffering. They aren't depriving themselves of a good life. They are quietly building the life that the person spending $4,800 is only pretending to have. One is buying the image of freedom, the other is building real freedom, and over time, real freedom wins every single time. The third step, perhaps the most counterintuitive one, is this: treat every raise as an opportunity for financial growth, not comfort growth. When your salary increases by $200, the question isn't, what can I buy now? The real question is, what can this money become if I never touch it? $200 a month invested over 20 years can grow into more than $118,000. Not because you worked harder, not because you got lucky, but because you understood something most people never consider. Money has a time dimension. Time is the ingredient that turns ordinary discipline into extraordinary results. And here is the final irony that will probably stay in your mind after you finish this video. The person earning 3,000 and saving 500 is building freedom. The person earning 5,000 and saving 200 is buying the illusion of freedom. And the difference between the two isn't salary, it's awareness. It's understanding that the number that defines your financial future is not the one printed on your paycheck. It's the number that remains after all your decisions. Your wealth is not built on payday. It's built in the choices you make before you spend what you earned. Start today. Don't wait for your next raise. Don't wait to earn more before you finally start saving. Because if you don't build the habit now, with what you already have, a bigger salary will only give you a more expensive version of the same problem. Your future will not be shaped by how much you earned. It will be shaped by how much you kept.